San Jose Live with Juan Chavez.
This next segment is about homosexual marriage. Should or should they not be allowed to get married? I'll throw that out there.
I think they should. Obviously, if someone's in love and they feel like it can be better by living with whoever they want, then by all means, whoever wants to do whatever they want. As long as it doesn't have a negative effect on other people, we should all be free to find our own happiness.
I agree with that. I mean, we are all human. To say we're all created equal, or to say that one might not have a certain benefit because they think differently, or that they are differently. I think that they should be able to get married. I mean, people that are married, they have different benefits, whether it's at work or not. Just because of that marriage bond, to say that you can't give it to one person because they are not married between a man and a woman, then I think that, we all work, we all contribute to the same benefits. Why can't they share it as well?
That's true, but one thing, I agree, they should marry or live in union and have kids, but a thing that I don't like is that they want us to change the definition, and us, because I'm heterosexual, and I think that they should not have the right to change the definition of marriage, because technically it's between a man and a woman. So I think that they should have the right to do that, but maybe come up with another word, because I don't think that they should have the right to change the definition if that's something that we've had in our society for years, and we are evolving and stuff, so why can't they come up with a new word for it?
But wouldn't that be against God's word? Wouldn't that be against the Bible to allow marriages between a man or a woman and a woman?
Well, I wouldn't want to talk about religion when it comes to this, because we don't all have the same beliefs and the same points of view when it comes to religion. That's like a whole other thing. But I'm just basing it on the definition of what marriage is, leaving out that whole religion aspect of it, because it does make things more difficult. So I don't think it would matter if it's going against the word.
What about you? Don't you think it's against religion? People go to hell according to people. You go to hell if you get married. Isn't that why you think a lot of priests or a lot of popes are very hesitant to even touch the issue, because it goes against our beliefs?
Well, I mean, who's to say there is a hell? I mean, not everybody believes in it, and to say that someone's gonna go to hell for doing something a certain way, living a certain way, that's kind of, that's not really to say it's real. I mean, someone believes it, someone might not. So to say that if you don't believe it, it's okay to marry, I really don't think that's an issue. I mean, one thing is the definition of marriage, and another thing is to believe that something's going to happen if you do allow to marry or not. So that's what I think.
Okay, so I'll ask you this: so that if one of you had a child that came out and turned out to be homosexual, what would your opinion be on that?
I would definitely not take it as a bad thing. I mean, there are stories about people that feel different when they're growing up, and it does have a toll. It does take an effect on their life later on. So if that's what's happening with my child, I would try and just make them feel like they have every right to express themselves. I don't want them to feel like they have to act a certain way just because they want society to accept them. And I would just embrace my child, love him or her, whatever. And whatever their preference is, whatever makes my kid happy.
And I agree with that. I mean, to say that I wouldn't say I wouldn't be happy with it. The only thing is I would only worry about society. I mean, it's going to be a little bit harder for that person, the child, growing up, not being accepted by certain people. Other than that, I'm always going to love the child. I mean, I'm not going to say I love it or him or her less because they're homosexual, but it's more for what they have to go through and the obstacles that have always been there for that, and I think they're always going to be there.
Okay. And to summarize our conversation on homosexual marriage, as we can see based on our opinions, it's a very sensitive issue that has yet to really be taken upon our nation because there's so many different people that are pro or against it. So it's a very, very sensitive issue that definitely needs to be addressed eventually, because we leave out a lot of families because of this, and so we feel that eventually the United States is going to come to a point where it's going to have to decide whether it's going to happen or not, because this is the land of the free, and eventually once enough people feel that this is a right that they deserve, we're definitely going to have this conversation at a more intense level. And so this concludes our second forum on homosexual marriage. And now we will move on to a third discussion, which is U.S.'s role in the world.